Welcome back to the Down Under Diaries. Diary entry number 2. Arriving in Canberra and settling in. Dear Diary, a very tired Nadia stepped off the plane in Canberra that Tuesday morning, and then, as I already told you, I went to the baggage claim, waited for my luggage, and then I went to find the ANU employees at the airport because they were organizing a shuttle service from the airport all the way to my accommodation, which was really, really great. And it turns out their shuttle service was that they paid for the taxi to my residence. Thank you, ANU. It was very much appreciated because I was so tired. I think that I wouldn't have been able to function and to find my way to the campus by myself, to be honest. I had a good laugh with the employees because they were filming for some, I think, recap video or something of their pickup service, and they asked me whether I was okay with being on camera, and I told them that they could film me if they really wanted to have an overly tired person in their video that hadn't showered in like 2 days, and they told me that yeah, sure, they'd love to have me, so we were laughing about that. And then I went to the taxi and it brought me all the way to the front door of my hall. As I stepped out of the taxi and into the sun, I felt like I was just hit by a hot wall. Yes, I may still have been wearing my long skinny jeans, but still, I was shocked at how warm it was, and I felt a little bit embarrassed when the taxi driver told me that it was actually still quite cool, which, yeah, fair enough. I think it was between like 20 to 25 degrees, which for Aussie summer is probably quite cool, but coming from Swiss winter was quite hot. And then I went in, I managed to check in without a problem, found my room, but getting all of my luggage to my room was an adventure in and of itself because it wasn't easy to walk around with my 3 suitcases anyways, but the path from the elevator to my room is completely lined with carpet, and pushing suitcases on carpet is, well, it's also a feat. But we made it after a bit of struggling. And then I made it to my room. First order of business, change into the shorts that I had in my hand luggage. And I went to text the people in one of the group chats of my residence to ask whether someone was willing to help me run a few errands and get set up here. Luckily, a couple of people were willing to help me, and so we agreed to all go out together. And so I did not unpack before leaving. I just quickly ruffled through my bags, but unfortunately I couldn't find my sunglasses. But then I made my way downstairs to wait for the others, and before we were able to leave, the fire alarms went off, so the entire residence evacuated, which luckily there weren't a lot of people already here. And then we waited for the firefighters to show up and to check and to inform all of us that it was in fact a false alarm and that everything was fine and we could go back in. So the others went back in and got their things that they wanted to take with them because they also went to get groceries at the same time. And we went to get my student ID, get my travel card for the public transport here. We went shopping for everything that I needed for the kitchen, and of course groceries because we all like to eat, and I was honestly getting quite hungry at that point. I think it was like 1 or 2 p.m. and I hadn't really eaten anything since breakfast at 5 a.m. And then after all of that, they helped me to carry the things back to our hall, since the grocery store and most stores that aren't ridiculously expensive because they are on campus are like 2 kilometers away, and on foot and in the heat it isn't always that easy. But so I was really, really happy and thankful that they helped me. And then once we were back, I really did unpack, which was needed because I wouldn't have been able to move around in my room or do anything without it. And I also started making my bed and unpacking my pillow and everything. And then I went down into the quad, which is the name our residence has given to our inner courtyard because we had trivia night going on. Our pod, our group, won the trivia night. Quick vocabulary input. A pod is basically a group of people or rooms in our residence that are associated to a senior resident, and generally they're on the same floor of our residence. So yeah, that's a pod, and our pod won the Trivni, which means that we are now officially able to call ourselves the smartest pod of the whole hall, which I'd say is quite a feat, because even though most students haven't moved in yet, the entire hall is going to have, I think, about 500 people here once everyone's gotten here. After trivia night, I went back to my room, and I think at like 9 p.m. I just quickly wanted to lay down on the bed and just take a quick break before continuing with unpacking. Suddenly I woke up and it was 5 a.m. and I'd totally crashed without taking off my clothes, without or changing, without brushing my teeth or doing anything, or even grabbing my sheets. I was just sprawled on my bed because it was like 5:30. I thought, yeah, no, this is not a socially acceptable time to start getting up and putting stuff away. So I forced myself to go back to sleep for another 30 to 40 minutes. Once it had been 6 a.m. and I still couldn't really go back to sleep, I was like, okay, it's 6 a.m. It's okay now. So I had breakfast, went for my first run, which I'll be explaining a bit later, probably my next entry. And then when I was back, I decided to go and get my Australian bank account and phone number. And it turns out that it would have been better probably if I just went for my phone number first and my bank account second, but hindsight's 2020. So I went for the bank account and I got it set up, which wasn't easy because Australians are very attached to Australian phone numbers, and so I had a bit of trouble setting up a bank account with an international number, and then I had to wait for quite some time until a bank teller was available to verify my identity to really get it fully set up. And they told me that I would have to go back into a bank branch to verify my identity again in order to change my phone number to my Australian phone number, because you can't change your phone number through e-banking. And so I went off to set up my Australian phone number and get an Aussie phone plan, basically, which was quite easy and quick and painless. And then I went for some more shopping that I'd forgotten and made it back to another bank branch right in time to verify my identity again before it closed, because apparently the banks close at like 4 p.m. here on weekdays. So the lady was nice enough to just squeeze me in before they closed, and then I was so happy that I had managed to set up both, that I celebrated by signing up for the Canberra Half Marathon in April, because yes, I have become a runner girly, and this is now how I celebrate. Although some of you may know, I've been planning on doing this race for a couple of weeks and months now. I just put off signing up because I wanted to be here and have my full address before going in. So now I can officially say that I have signed up and that I am training for the Canberra Half Marathon. Stay tuned on that, and I will talk to you again soon. Love, Nadia.